There's always that little voice in your head, that voice that's telling you, guiding you towards things, actions you might want to take in your life. And oftentimes, what do? Oftentimes, we'll ignore that voice and be like, oh, yeah, I'll just ignore that. Just a little voice in my head. This voice in your head is something that many people call their higher guides. Some people in religious backgrounds might call them guardian angels. And what's interesting to me is before I learned about any of this stuff, whether it's channeling or higher guides, I was involved, I was part of many situations in my life as a paramedic where I would have this voice in my head guiding me through some very, let's call them dangerous situations. And by listening to this voice and following what many of us call our intuition, which is what's your intuition? It's the connection between your mind and your heart. It's that heart mind connection that so many of us these days are severed off from. So, in this video, we're going to talk about what channeling is, what your higher guides are, and how I'm on this journey to figure this all out for myself as somebody who's always felt like there was something almost speaking to me or through me many times in my life. You see, I started this journey not long ago. Unlike many other people, was actually blessed to have someone in my life who's my grandfather, who for many years was giving me knowledge on things like channeling, meditation, maybe even some more esoteric things. And it never really clued into me that these are things that are going to be deeply impactful in my life up until recently. He gave me a book on channeling a couple months ago that I started reading. And once I started reading this book, I quickly realized that I've always had this voice in my head, which this book refers to as my higher guides. There's a lot of people in spiritual circles who will think that they are chosen ones, that they are special in some way to have this ability to channel, tap into higher versions of themselves and speak through them, what sounds like the utmost truth. And the reality is, anybody has the capability to do this. In this book, the author discusses the fact that each of us has our own guide, personal guide that's here to get through very hard times in our life, but only if we are open to it. And how many of us ignore this voice time and again? You may have been in a tough position where you have to leave your career, you just got out of a bad relationship, or maybe you are trying to find a deeper purpose and meaning out of your life. You could be an entrepreneur even trying to figure out what the next steps are that you might have to take. And this is where learning the skill of channeling and opening your heart up, really being able to intuitively feel these voices that are kind of nudging you in one direction or another, and then taking committed action towards those things can be really life-changing. See, I only started reading a couple months ago this book on channeling, and once I started really listening to this voice in my head, something interesting began to happen. I had a deeper connection, almost a physical feeling in my heart. And I know it's really hard for me to describe as a guy, being in a very masculine field previously as a paramedic. I do recall times when I was speaking to a patient in the back of the ambulance who was having a really hard time, and the words would almost flow right through me. It almost seems like something else was speaking through me, and those words weren't my own. And it's only because I would look back and say, wow, like I really was inspirational in that moment. I was really impactful in that moment. But I never thought much of it other than that. Now, reading this book, of course, I can make those connections. But the whole idea here is watching this video, do have this ability to tap into that voice that you've had with you for your whole life. And whatever difficulties you may be feeling in your life right now, I think acknowledging that there's something higher than ourselves, something outside of ourselves that's trying to guide us and help us in a way to achieve our goals and dreams that we maybe don't even realize is really a beautiful thing. I believe females overall, and from my experience, females overall seem to be more open to this intuitively. Um, Many females I've met, many women I've met have had very open hearts, and maybe that makes it easier to connect with these higher guides. For us, the masculine, it can be really difficult because society doesn't really look at the masculine male as a soft, open hearted being, and so we tend to close ourselves off to these voices and these guides. And so, my word of encouragement, something that I've realized, is to really is to adopt a practice every day that'll help you create that space and hold some space for these things to come through, these ideas to come through you, and maybe just pose a question or have some sort of, or have an intention or ask a question that will maybe bring you some answers through your higher guides, through that voice in the back of your head. For example, most recently I was kind of confused about maybe the nature of my business. I've been in the crypto space for a really long time, trying to figure out how I can merge, spiritual things alongside this masculine technological side that I've had with me for a long time. Shortly after meditation, I went on a walk. And during the walk, information just started to download through me, trying to help me gain clarity on what I was supposed to do with my business. These ideas were so inspiring to me, I furiously wrote them down on my phone, and I do believe I tapped into something higher than myself without really even calling on it. It seems like it's in those moments where you're not really looking for anything, but you've set an intention or put a question out there into the universe, that these things start coming to you. The answers start coming to you. Now, you don't really have to be religious or even, I believe, a spiritual person to be able to channel. I previously, many years ago, was very much not a spiritual person, but I always knew I had this deeper intuitive connection to this voice in my head, which I already knew was not me. Now, acknowledging for what it is, I can actually really tap into it, and I'm learning to tap into it, whenever I need answers in my life. Some people have become really good at this, and you can see examples of people like Bashar, who have not only been channeling for decades now for themselves, but are also here to help other people on the planet who may be feeling their own, challenges with their journey. But these people don't realize that even they have the power to begin to learn how to channel, so long as they can open their minds and their hearts to it. So this is my journey of learning how to channel, and I am really glad you joined me on this ride. Well, I'm here to say we could be our own consultants. We have the ability to help ourselves, and there's this intuitive higher ability that we can tap into that I think largely human beings have been severed from over the last decades and even hundreds of years. So we're at the right time on the planet for this sort of awakening of consciousness, to not only become conscious of ourselves and the actions we're taking in everyday life towards our goals and our purpose, but also to be more conscious of these higher guides that are lovingly guiding us through life and giving us the answers that we need. So with that being said, I hope this was helpful, insightful for you, and join me on this ride as we learn how to channel and learn how to become our own consultants with whatever challenges we may be facing in life. Until next time, friends, peace.